The way we consume and share news today, it is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. For our daily social media minute, we're now joined by Erica via Zoom. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
All right, so Chuseok celebration is officially over. The last day that people technically had off was yesterday, and we're all back to the grind. And now apparently at the White House, they marked the occasion, the first ever Chuseok celebration.
Yes, which was quite historic, actually. The celebrations were held at the Eisenhower Executive Office building, which is right next to the White House's West Wing. Among the notable guests were New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim, U.S. Special Envoy for North Korean Human Rights Julie Turner, and former U.S. Ambassador Sung Kim. Now, during the event, U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Esther Kang from the band Pershing's Own sang Arirang in Korean. She was dressed in a military uniform. More than 100 Korean Americans, some from the East Coast of the U.S. and others from as far as Los Angeles and even Hawaii, were there to, look on as she sang, and all of them were clearly moved by the moment.
All right, so this is the first time in the 120-year history of Korean immigration to the U.S. that a Chuseok celebration took place at the White House.
That's right. The event was co-hosted by the White House and the Council of Korean Americans. So when the New York Korean Youth Choir performed Michael Jackson's You Are Not Alone, many of the Korean American speakers who were there had apparently expressed how surreal the occasion felt. Kyung Yoon, president of the Korean American Community Foundation, was quoted by newspapers as saying, "I never imagined celebrating a Korean holiday at the White House when I was young. Being Korean these days is something to be proud of, thanks to the global influence of K-pop, K-dramas, K-food, and K-beauty. But today, let's also remember K-sharing as we celebrate Chuseok."
I have a bone to pick with. When we add K to everything, it certainly
I know
feels
you
a little bit cringy. But for this occasion, I understand the sentiment.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps Kyung-yoon highlighted something really important and powerful. I think growing up, if I saw more representation, people that looked like me, Chuseok being celebrated in the White House, maybe I would have felt a little bit more less troubled as a Korean American.
I think many Korean Americans share that sentiment with you. And I'm not Korean American, but I did spend many of my, years, including my formative years abroad, growing up here and there. I would have felt the same.
Right. A sense of connection there. How did this event come to be, I wonder?
So Song Siegel, who is the vice president of the Siegel Family Endowment, shared that it had been her dream, her lifelong dream, to bring prominent Korean Americans together to celebrate the Chuseok holiday. She explained that the idea for the event came from a small dinner party in January. And, people were enthusiastic. And thanks to overwhelming support, it became a reality. Now, she emphasized that Korean Americans, many of whom are descendants of war refugees and immigrants, have often been seen as underdogs of American society. But she said, we can succeed when we unite.
Sometimes you need that sense of connection. And I don't know what can really get our attention better than a big event to mark the occasion at the White House.
That's right.
It was sparked at a small dinner party. Maybe dinner parties are important, Erica.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. You know me.
Great food, great company.
Yeah.
Now, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris each sent written messages for the occasion.
Yes, President Joe Biden wrote I'm going to quote his words actually. Rooted in more than a millennium of traditions and customs, Chuseok reminds us not only of the rich heritage of the Korean community, but also of the universal bonds that unite people all around the world. We all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans. Whether your family has been here for generations or you immigrated to the United States yourself, each of you has woven the vibrancy, culture, and contributions of the Korean community into the tapestry of our country. Now, after the event, of course, there's song, there are speeches, there are talks, there has to be food, of course, because this is Chuseok after all. Participants enjoyed a spread of Korean traditional dishes, including songpyeon, japchae, yakgwa, and shike.
Yum.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think I had songpyeon this year, and I live in Korea.
You know what? I didn't either.
Changing trends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring it back next year. All right, that was the Chuseok event held at the White House. Let's turn our attention to our second buzzword this morning. One of the recent studies showing that light pollution at night may increase a risk of Alzheimer's. Maybe you can connect the dots for us here.
For all of us living in urban areas, big cities like Seoul, this story should get our attention. A new research claims that exposure to outdoor light at nighttime may increase the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease, especially in relatively younger people under the age of 65. Now, the researchers who conducted the study were funded by a National Institutes of Health grant, and their work was recently published in the journal Frontiers in Neuroscience last week. So to talk about the study, the researchers evaluated Alzheimer's disease prevalence by looking at the average nighttime light intensity by state and county in the United States from 2012 to 2018. They used all kinds of data, including data from satellites to track light pollution. They also used Medicare data reports of Alzheimer's prevalence. And for their analysis, they also included medical data on factors that are known to or thought to increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease in their analysis.
Okay, so they're trying to find a causal relationship between light pollution and a risk, increase in the risk of Alzheimer's here. So what else did the study find?
So the study showed that nighttime light was more strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease prevalence than other factors like alcohol abuse, chronic kidney disease, depression, heart failure, and even obesity. For people under the age of 65, nighttime light exposure was more strongly associated with Alzheimer's prevalence than any other disease factor examined in the study. Now, the researchers said this could suggest that younger people may be particularly sensitive to the effects of light exposure at night.
Okay, the thing is, another factor to consider is that younger people are also more likely to stay and work in urban areas. They have lifestyles that may increase exposure to light at night. We're more likely to stay out late, aren't we?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, those days for me passed a long time ago.
Those days never existed for me, Erica. I'm just trying to play a part.
Yeah, but it's true. Younger people stay out longer. In cities, they're more, especially in Seoul, where everything is open around the clock, right? There are lots of night owls in the city, which researchers say increases their vulnerability to the effects of nighttime light exposure.
Okay, so the biggest question all of us are probably thinking is, what does light have anything to do with it? I mean, it's mostly pleasant. I mean, it lights up otherwise dark alleys and streets.
Exactly. Keeps certain areas safe, right?
Right.
Now, one of the pillars of good quality brain health is having good quality sleep. That we all know, right? Now, light is the greatest factor that influences circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms are kind of like the internal clock in our brains that signals us when to be awake or when to be asleep by responding to light changes in our environment. So simply put, exposure to light at night disrupts those rhythms, and bad sleep increases the risk of Alzheimer's.
Okay, so here's a secret. I can't fall asleep with the TV off. I know this is a horrible habit that I've had for
Oh,
my entire life, and it's gotten worse since I've taken on the morning job. I'm a little bit paranoid to fall asleep in the first place, and it's kind of been sort of my sound machine. And
I see.
I realize a parallel there. It's probably the light that also disrupts the quality sleep I
You know,
get.
I also have a friend who used to do an early morning show for several years, and she didn't sleep on her bed
Does she sleep on the
on the weekdays.
couch?
No, no, no. She slept on the floor. She wanted to feel uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
she didn't fall into a deep sleep. She had this like paranoia of not being able to wake up in the morning.
I'm just looking at my producer like, can we fix this? There's something so unnatural about this work cycle.
Yeah.
But I'm just seeing the correlation there. But the least I can do is maybe start with trying to turn off the
Mhm.
TV. It's a really bad habit I formed over the years. And I found a study that worked for me, which was if you're having trouble falling asleep altogether, you should probably get sleep no matter what. And so I chose to keep the TV on. It's better to have
Okay.
no sleep as opposed to no sleep, getting some sleep with light.
I think when they talk about like nighttime light exposure, they're talking like prolonged exposure to light. So I'm sure your bedroom is mostly
It's
dark
mostly
than
dark.
light.
And I think it's
So
a
hey, if it
sound
works for
thing.
you,
All right,
yeah.
it might be a sound thing for me. So I know you're not here to give me health advice, but it just my head took me there. All right, so
Okay.
it's probably not good to have these extensive light exposures at nighttime. Getting quality sleep is probably best for you on a number of measurable standards. All right, now with that, we can move on to our final buzzword of the day. We always need something cute to look at. I think that's natural. It makes us feel good. It certainly lifts my day, and I'm sure it does to you too. Remember our
Yeah.
Fubao obsession? Now the internet is turning our attention to a baby hippo named Moo Deng.
And this is a baby pygmy hippo. Pygmy hippos
Hmm.
are smaller in size than regular hippos that live in Africa. And they're still large, but this baby hippo is something else. So cute. Her skin is always kind of like wet. And her cheeks are sort of like pink and peachy. And she's sort of like following her caretakers around. They're nibbling at their knees. She has these tiny teeth. And, she's opening her mouth all the time, like in an apparent scream, and she doesn't make any noise, right? So cute. Her name is Moo Deng,
Mm.
and she has become the internet's latest obsession following Fubao.
Hmm.
She was born in July in Thailand's Khao Kyu Open Zoo. And since then, she has reached global virtual stardom. Her name roughly translates to bouncing pig or pork patty. I don't know which is cuter. But yeah, so far she's been memeified by the Utah Jazz NBA team. She's turned into a lifelike cake by a Bangkok bakery.
Sure.
Sephora Thailand even celebrated her stardom by posting on social media about how to wear your blush like a baby hippo.
I've seen it
So,
all.
yeah, exactly. Latest marketing by cosmetics company. She also has her very own Wikipedia page, which is unsurprising to me in this day and age.
Hmm.
Now, I came across a really interesting Washington Post article
Hmm.
that says there is a scientific explanation to why we get so obsessed with baby animals, including Moo Deng and Fubao. Studies show their cuteness hijacks our brains, basically.
I wonder if
Um,
that was like the research lead. The cuteness
uh-huh.
hijacks your brains.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just funny.
So the animals, like sort of like human baby-like features, they strike at our, brains. They sort of like, uh, wake up our nurturing instinct.
Ah.
The scientists think this is an evolutionary trait that has allowed the human species to survive across the millennia.
Protect
And
the young, protect the babies.
exactly.
Okay.
And when we see these features, these baby features, the big eyes, the large foreheads, the small chins, and, pudgy bodies, we interpret that as helplessness and as a kind of dependency. And it motivates us all to want to care for them. And it's so powerful that it happens across species, not only when we see human babies,
but also baby hippos and baby
yes,
panda
that's
bears.
right.
So cuteness might be the key to baby survival. I remember, young moms telling me if they weren't so cute, dot, 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 right? I mean, they hijack your life in that sense. They occupy your life. Not only that, the birthing process is, I can only imagine, the most painful thing a woman goes through in her life physically. Now, this cuteness kind of overrides the pain, saying, I must take care of you.
Yeah, and they forget and they have more babies, right?
Yes.
Now, their cuteness may explain why the zoo's visitors have more than doubled since Moo Deng became an internet sensation. However, in social media posts over the weekend, zoo officials said visitors could see Moo Deng for only 5 minutes on the weekends. Apparently some visitors have been caught on social media pouring water at the baby to wake her up or throwing food at her to get her attention. And the director of the zoo even issued a statement last week warning that there could be legal consequences for people who harass Moo Deng, the beloved baby hippo.
If we weren't to state the obvious, how has evolution not sort of kick those kind of nasty habits out of us, right?
I know, right?
Wake up the baby. Come on now. Thank you so much, Erica, for today's coverage. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.